Hi everyone, welcome to Make Moments Matter, a music education podcast, where I share lesson ideas, songs, games, and inspiring things for your elementary music classroom. My name is David Rao, and I am the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. This episode of the podcast is a replay containing the audio version of a Musical Mondays live video. If you're not familiar with Musical Mondays, every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I go live on Facebook and Instagram to share about the lessons that I'm using in class with my students. I give a recap of my kindergarten through 5th grade lessons, and then do a deep dive about one grade level and share the books, instruments, songs, and process that I use to teach the lesson to kids. This podcast episode contains all the audio from the Musical Mondays video, but if you'd like to see a replay of the video itself, you can find a link to the archived video on YouTube when you click the link in the notes for this episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. Here's the show. Hey everyone, my name is David Rao, and I'm the music teacher who blogs at makemomentsmatter.org. You can also find my ideas on Facebook, on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, and a variety of other places when you search for my name, David Rao, or Make Moments Matter. Today I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about what I do with my students when they walk in the room, like the first thing they see, the first thing I do, and show you how I'm sort of using this sort of challenge rhythm, challenge process across multiple grade levels, how I differentiate for different grade levels for different content, and just use those first couple minutes to get them active right away and to get them engaged sort of right away. So I'm going to share a little bit about how I do that. That's coming up in just a second. If you hear me talk about any resources, books, movies, things you're interested in any of these videos, you can always find, there's a recap page on my blog. You can go to makemomentsmatter.org and click the video tab, or wherever you're watching, listening to this, you should be able to find it in the description for this content and find a direct link there if you're interested. Also, there's a Facebook group, Every Moment Matters Music Education Community. If you have more questions, more ideas, come and join us and share those things on Facebook land, in the Facebook group. It'd be great to have you all there. Okay, one more, two more things. One, I am running a giveaway on my blog right now. It's for a set of bulletin boards for March, which is Women's History Month. And this is 50 different profiles of women in music: pop music, classical music, jazz, opera, orchestral, just all sorts of different profiles of famous women musicians and composers and conductors, and there's a giveaway that ends tonight at midnight, so go check that out. I talked about it on my Facebook page. I will link that on the links page in case you're interested. Registration just opened up for ORF Level 1 in Orlando this summer. I'm teaching ORF Level 1 with some really amazing educators who are going to be there. There are other people doing Level 2 and Level 3. Just Level 2 right now, I think. I don't think there's a Level 3 right now, but all of that's happening in Orlando this summer, and we hope you'll join us. So you can click on the on my Facebook page I just shared about it, or on the links page. I'll put a link to that in case you're interested in taking ORF Level 1 and you want to come to Orlando, the land of Disney and citrus and other things that I'm sure happen that are great in Orlando. I need to learn more about Orlando, so obviously we should go out. I've had a lot of really great food in Orlando, so come join us. It's going to be so much fun. Registration just opened up, and there's limited space, so if you want to come and join us in Orlando, come do that. That's happening this summer. Okay, so the whole reason I'm sharing tonight is because this semester I'm trying this sort of a different thing. I usually, like, when kids come in, they my K1-2 students know that there's a song we sing every time they come in, and I wanted to try something different with my older kids, because like the way my school works is it's back-to-back-to-back classes for me, and so that means that a lot of times when they're walking in, a class is walking out, a new class is walking in, I'm trying to connect with the homeroom teacher for like a second to say, like, hey, is there anything weird happening today? Anybody gone? Anything I need to know? Anything, because there's not a lot of time. And so trying to make that connection, or even just hand off like the clipboard with their information or whatever, that takes a second. So I'm trying to do that. And then also in that moment, kids are coming in, they're finding their spots, they're doing whatever, they're talking about whatever, and so I have my teacher microphone on, and it connects into my room. And I've shared about which microphone system I use in the past weeks, so I know I've shared about that already. But in a teacher microphone, I can like talk into it, and even though I'm standing like talking to the homeroom teacher, it's broadcasting into my classroom. And so they can all hear. I can say like, oh, there's a challenge rhythm, check the board for the challenge rhythm, or whatever. And so if I have something up on the board for them to see and them to interface with when they walk in, that's really helpful. So I want to try something new this semester, and so I'm going to sort of just share like how I use this for different grades, how I use this idea for different content, and then some of the ways that I'm using this to sort of enhance their critical thinking skills, along with just like the basics of like rhythm reading or whatever it is we're doing, plus also a little bit more along the way. So let me just sort of show you the basics of what I'm doing. I'm going to try and show you like what is pulled up when kids walk in the room. And sorry, my basset hound has decided to come and make a cameo for this video, but she's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. You're talking too much. I want to go nap. So Lucy's out. All right. So, so if you just heard a shake and a little dog moment, that's Lucy. Okay. So let me try and show y'all, because this always works. Technology always works exactly the way I want. No, it does not. So let me just see if I can do this. Hold on just a second. It's probably going to be black for just a second because it doesn't want to work. There we go. Okay, so there's Facebook. Let me make sure Instagram can see it. Ooh, Instagram. Okay, so when kids walk in, this is basically what they see. They see a PowerPoint, My Little Bitmoji, and then at the bottom of the screen is the challenge rhythm. And so this is a 4th grade challenge. This is something that they would see when they walk in. So I try and, when I first introduced this, I tried to do content that was grade level appropriate, that they could read, that might challenge them a little bit, or something to remind them. So when students come in, they know my process is you read the rhythm, then do body percussion, and then maybe do something else with it. So as they're walking in, hopefully they're looking up at the board, they're trying to guess, trying to read through the rhythms, do all that. Maybe they're doing it with a partner. I don't care, as long as they are interfacing with that rhythm. So in my school, I use the Takadimi rhythm syllable system. So kids would go Takadimi, Takadimi, ta, Takadimi, ta. And then if they are, while they're waiting for me, then they could add pats. Takadimi, Takadimi, ta, Takadimi, ta, right? So like that's just like a basic if they came in. So like here's another example of what they might see. This is a 5th grade. So instead of seeing just Takadimi, now we have 16th and 8 combinations in there because that's on grade level for them, and also it's a challenge. So students might say Takadimi, Takadi, ta-dimi, ta-dimi, taka-dimi, ta, or whatever syllable system you use, do-ta-data, do-ta-day, do-data, do-data, do-ta-data, do, or whatever. I don't know exactly how that works. Ticka-ticka, ticka-tee, ticka-tee, ticka-ticka, ticka-ta, or whatever. Whatever syllable system you use, but it gives them a rhythm that when they walk in, they can read that, they can pad it, they can clap it if they want, but this is just another thing that like as they're walking in, they have something to grab their attention and sort of run with as they're walking in. So that's just rhythm, right? And these are just like basic rhythms. Oh, and one more thing. So the one before, this is 4th grade. I color code all of my classes. So if there's ever anything of a vocabulary box, a folder or whatever, if it's 4th grade, it's orange. If it's 5th grade, it's green. If it's 3rd grade, it's red. It just helps me to keep track of things. And I started doing this years and years and years ago when I had a set of textbooks out. I don't have them out anymore, but I think when I used them, I had like the Making Music series or the Share the Music series or whatever. And I was like, well, I don't use those textbooks all that often, but I'm going to color code to those textbooks in case we should ever use them. Whatever. So, but anyway, it has helped me. So now I know if there's an orange screen up and 5th graders are walking in, I need to update so that I have the correct content. So basically I just changed the background so that I know I have the correct one. So green, I immediately know that's 5th grade. It just helps me. I don't know that kids really notice all that much, but it really does help me. Okay, so another thing, this is a 2nd grade one. Again, I've changed the content for 2nd grade based on what they can handle. And so this one is toddy, toddy, ta, ta, dee, ta, because my second graders are working on half notes, half rests, and then quarter notes and eighth notes. And quarter rest, that's just not represented in this specific slide. And I see someone ask, what do you use to create these visuals for the rhythms? I use a rhythm font. And so I'm typing A and it's putting in a quarter note. I'm typing S and it's putting in a pair of eighth notes. You can find there are a bunch of rhythm fonts out there. If you're interested in the one I use, I will put a link to that on the links page. But also just know that like there are 5 or 6 really reliable rhythm fonts you can use. It depends on what you want. The one I use I like because it also includes stick notation, which we use a lot in elementary. But I mean, really, it's up to you. Okay, so this is one that was second graders might see when they walk in. Again, slightly different. The Bitmoji stays the same. So my like little cartoon version of me stays the same because then I know I keep the same Bitmoji for like the whole school for that specific week. So I know if I get into like my week 5 lessons, it's going to be me looking at the snow and being upset. Or if I look at my week 6 lessons, it's going to be, you know, Valentine's themed or whatever. I don't really change that all that much. But the colors change for the grade level, the Bitmoji changes every week, and the rhythms change as well. Okay, so here's another example. This one is 4th grade. So instead of just rhythm now, 4th graders are playing recorder. And so when they come in, now they still see the challenge rhythm on the board, but the rhythms are a lot more simplified. And in front of the note, they might have something like, or sorry, in front of the series of notes, they might have a letter name. So this one says G, and then after it, there's ta-dee, ta, ta-dee, ta, and then the letter B, and then ta, ta, ta-dee, ta. So in this case, my 4th graders know, and we've gone through this process, yes, come in and do the rhythm, and there's going to be a kid handing out the recorders. Because my process for my 4th graders who we're playing recorder now is when they come in, I choose a student from the line and they get to be the quote student teacher. They get to go grab the box of recorders. They get to start calling out names. They get to hand out recorders and then put away recorders once everyone's done. But then kids are immediately getting their recorder. They immediately have a challenge up on the board. So their process is they read through the rhythm, they read the note names, they do the finger practice, and then they play. So it's a 4-step process. You can't play until you've done the first 3. Read the rhythms by themselves, do the note names, add finger practice, so add the finger movement that goes along with the recorder on the recorder, and then you can play. So my 4th graders would see this. So this is like they're used to seeing a rhythm, but now there's the added complication of now you're going to play on a recorder. Again, simplified rhythms because the recorder process is hard enough, and I want them to really focus on that switch from G to B. And so I'm not going to put in 16th notes. They're not ready for that. I'm not going to put in something more complicated like a half note. They're not ready for that yet. This is just very, very simple of what they would do. So then a progression to another thing would be maybe the next week. You might notice like the Bitmoji change because it's the next time I see them. The rhythms stay pretty much the same, but now instead of B and G, now I'm having them switch from A to G. So just sort of slightly different. They don't need a huge change. They don't need a huge next challenge. It's just more practice and something to get them active immediately when they walk in the room to give them something to do, more content to get them immediately on task and moving forward. So that's like a recorder version. Here's another one that they might see. This one I've included a repeat sign at the end because we jokingly, I was like, well, you always got to keep repeating. But this one I actually added it in. So then they're repeating. So this is cool too because a switch on the recorder from G to B is really easy. You just pull up 2 fingers, but then dropping those fingers back down. So end of line to the repeat, G, 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 B, 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 repeat. Well, then you got to drop those 2 fingers back on to play G, and that is a little tricky. So the repeat sign is a little thing, and they're like, oh, haha, we're finally repeating. Yeah, but also then now you're also having to do that more complex change on the recorder. So that's something you might see that I might do with recorder. This is where we are now. When they walk in, it's a much well, it's not all that much longer, but because they're more adept at playing recorder, they're more able to play more difficult things. Now I have a more complex version. So this is just basic rhythms, and underneath each rhythm, underneath each rhythmic value is a letter name. So it says G, 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 A, B, B, A, G, 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 A, B, A, G, G, G. So, and then a repeat sign. So for kids, this is like, ooh, this is great. This is right on target for what we're doing in the class right now. But also, it does give them a little bit of challenge, because as we're going through, you know, they know the process. As we're walking in, blah, blah, blah. First you read the rhythms, then you read the note names, then you add finger practice, then you can play. Well, on this one, I always love to stop and say, okay, do you see any similarities? Do you see anything that's familiar? Does anything repeat? Do you see any patterns? What do you notice? And I love to ask them that. So on this one, hopefully they notice that measure 1 and measure 3 are the same thing. Sometimes they just realize that they're the same rhythm. That's fine. But if you can also notice the same note names, the same notes, that's great too. They might also say rhythm or measure 2 and measure 4 are similar and that they're descending. That would be really cool if they could say that, but I don't prod that or try and get them to say that. I just, you know, if they can say just that measures 1 and 3 are the same, that's amazing. So that's sort of a progression, and I'll click back so you can see it again. So what they, you know, rhythm, so they just do rhythm at first, and then once we're ready for recorder, then we start adding the note names in. Maybe we do more complex switching, maybe we do repeating, you know, and then once we're ready, we go to a full 4 measure thing for them to play through. So that's sort of a progression for them. So not only do I use this for rhythm, but I can also add some other things in there too. So like this is back to 2nd grade, and the rhythm is ta, ta, ta-dee, ta, ta-dee, ta, ta-dee, ta. Just that simple little strip of rhythm on the bottom. And my 2nd graders know, like, we read it, we speak it, we add claps, maybe we try pats, maybe we try snaps, I don't know. But then when we're ready, now we can add this in. So the first time I added these in, I was like, what do you think those letters are? And underneath each note value is an S or an M or an L. And so kids, I was like, so, M&Ms are mighty, super silly, laughing, super silly, lizards. And they're like, nah, that's not what I mean. Well, okay, also right next to this on the board are my solfege hand signs and solfege syllables. So hopefully they're making the connection to what these are because it repeats. So once they do that, then I say, oh, it's just, well, it's solfege. Okay, let's do this. So we read the rhythm, then we added claps or pats, and I say, now first, before you try and sing it, just speak the solfege. So this one goes so, me, so, la, so, la. Okay, great. So then, but we speak it so that they can sort of get what that is. They can sort of figure out which little abbreviation stands for what. S stands for so, M stands for me, L stands for la, right? And then before we sing it, I just say, okay, that's great. Just do a little bit of repeating. So, do, do. So, me, so, me. You know, just get that sort of in their head, to get those intervals and to get that sort of tonality and get that already in their head. So we speak it first, and then I just sing patterns to get them in the tonality, in the key, and then we will sing what's written. So then it becomes really sight singing. So they've already spoken through, so they should have no problem with so, me, but we'll sing it. So, me, so, la, so, la. So you'll notice because this is 2nd grade, it's a very limited pitch set, right? Just so, me, and la. That's a pattern in intervals we've been doing for a couple years, so they should be able to recognize that pretty easily, but making this stretch of reading it and singing it can be tricky. So this is just a very simplified version of eventually, and you'll see this in the second, eventually it gets trickier. So that's a really simple version, but again, when they come in, usually I show them just the rhythm and they read it, they clap it, they pat it, and then I switch out, and then I'll add in the solfege. So this is a couple, a week or so later after that first example. So now 2nd grade, they would see so, la, so, la. Okay, that's very similar to what they saw before. So, me, do. Well, do is newer for them. So now this is going to give them one more thing to try out. Now they have 4 syllables that they're going to be in charge of instead of just the 3. Again, we would speak the syllables, we would sing just echo back and forth, and I might trace through that melodic contour of those syllables before we sing it, but we might just jump right into it. And so then we would sing it. so, la, so, la, so, mi, do, do, do. With second graders, a lot of them will use the hand signs to go along with it. Great. Second graders also will need us to sing through this maybe 2 or 3 times. To make it more fun, to make it more interesting, I might play along on the piano. I might, bop on the organ sound or the symphonic sounds, just there's something different. But I usually will run through this exercise 2 or 3 times at least, just so they can hear it and really, they can really internalize that for the day. Okay, and here is the one from this week. So first I get the rhythm. This one includes a rest because I want to sort of, throw in a beat of silence in there to see how they deal with that. So again, first we'll do the rhythm and then we'll add in the solfege. So, la, la, so, la, so, do, do, do. So we could do something where so, mi, do, 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 and then pull in an example where we take out the me and turn it into a rest. But this one I just hopped right into it because we did an example sort of the week before that had that contour so, mi, do, 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 but now it's just so, do, do, do. So again, it's really scaffolding in. So first we do the rhythm, then we do one more thing, then we do one more. So now we're just adding more complexity as we go. That all is at a second grade level. All those examples were second grade. So here's an example from 5th grade again. So this one, so, la, la, so, mi, re, do. So again, more switching. This one is a little bit more involved. That second to last beat, the penultimate beat, has mi, re, do. So instead of just repeated syllables on each beat, this one has broken mi, re on one beat. So that is trickier for kids. But this is a great example for something for them to work through and try. And you could do a simplified version first. You could do so, la, la, so, la, so, mi, re, or something if you wanted. But this is a little bit more advanced, especially more advanced than what second grade was doing. So here's another example from 5th grade. Do, re, mi, so, fa, mi, re, do. So that's an example from 5th grade. We would go through again. We'd read the rhythm. Maybe we'd clap it. Maybe we'd pat it. Then we would sing, or then we would speak the syllables. Then we would sing the syllables. So one more thing I like to do with 5th grade to sort of encourage their critical thinking and also encourage their ear training is to say, okay, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to sit down at the piano and I'm going to play it and then I'm going to change something. But first, let me just play it normal. I'm going to play it correctly. But without the solfege syllables. This is after doing it 2 or 3 times, singing it, so they've really internalized it. We could move on, but so an example. I'm just going to sing it tonight because I'm not sitting at my piano. But bum 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 bum. I leave the visual exactly the same, so they see the rhythm syllables, they see the solfege underneath. But I say, okay, I just played it on piano. The way that it would be, just without the solfege syllables. But now I'm going to change something. Your job is to figure out where the change happens. If you can also figure out what the change is, that is amazing. But if you can just figure out where the change happens, that is your job. Okay, here I go. Bum, 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 bum. So it should be do, re, mi, so, fa, mi, re, do. But what they heard was do, re, mi, so, mi, re, do. That's what they would have heard on piano. Again, we've sung it through a couple times, so they should know the example by now. So if they can hear that the fa has been changed, great. So at this point, a couple kids will raise their hand like, ooh, great, I'm so glad you think you have the answer. Let me do it one more time. And if you think you have the answer already, great, check it. If you don't think you have the answer yet, just listen again. And so I'll play through again. And then before I call on a kid to say, where do you think the answer is? I'll say, okay, great, everybody. Is the change, and I'll point to, is the change in the first measure? No. Is the change in the second measure? Yes. Okay, and then I'll go along beat by beat. Is the change on beat 1? No. Is the change on beat 2? Ooh, a lot of people think so. Is it on beat 3? Not many people think so. Is it on beat 4? Not many people think so. Okay, great. So if the change is on beat 2, is it a change to the rhythm? Is it a change to the solfege? What is it? And then I'll have a kid answer. And sometimes they'll say it's a change to the melody or it's a change to the solfege. Great. if they can say that, that is perfect. If they can say, it's not so, it went down. Oh, that's perfect. Or sorry, it's not fa, it stayed higher, or whatever. Or if it's not fa anymore, it's so, mi, re, do. Perfect. Great. But if they can just verbalize that the change happened on beat 2 and that it wasn't a change to the rhythm, it was a change to the solfege, that is fantastic. Another example of this would be, okay, here, let me sing it normally again. Bum, 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 bum. So then the change version, I might do something like this. Bum, 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 bum. And then hopefully they'll be able to tell me the change was in the first measure on the third beat, right? And again, I'll let them listen to it again. If they can tell me the changes to the rhythm, that's great. If they can tell me that the ta-di turned into ta-ka-di-mi, the eighth notes turned into 16th notes, that is ultimate fantastic. But even if they can just identify where it happened or like describe what happened, that is what I'm looking for. If they can give me the specifics, fabulous. Okay, here's another example from... Oh, this is 5th grade again. Sorry, I think I was just on 3rd grade. This is 5th grade again. So, mi, so, mi, re, do. This is, again, another one where I would change, and maybe the second time and say, okay, I'm going to test your ear. Just tell me if you can figure out what it is. Bum, 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 bum. So even if I have it so, mi, I'll sing so, la, just to see if they can... That's really testing their solfege knowledge too, to know, is it going up, is it going down, can you tell me what it is? Those are just ways that you can take a very simple example like this and alter it and sort of take that to the next level and challenge their critical thinking and challenge their ear, even while the example is very simple. Here's another example. Do, so, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. So that's another great one that sort of outlines the 5th, and then it really it cadences. So this is another one where I would take it, we would read the rhythm, we would speak the syllables, we would sing it. I might change or alter one thing, and then we would move on. So yeah, so do, so, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. The next time I saw them, it might be do. Oh, I like this one. This was an example that goes do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. So again, they read the rhythm first. Ta, di, ta, di, ta. Okay, then they might clap it or pat it. Then we would do the syllables. And this one is fun for them because I say, okay, if we're thinking about how this one works, before we even sing it, before I even try it, do you think that the composer for this wanted that first do to be low do or high do? Why do you think so? And again, my hand sign syllables here, and I'll show you. Let me switch back to the view of me here. Okay, so my syllables are up there on the wall. These I just printed out today because I didn't want to bring my other ones home. So the hand signs are up there on the wall, right? And so the hand signs are there. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. They're like listed right there in a pitch stack, in a ladder right there, a pitch ladder, right there on the side of the board. And so I'll say, okay, looking at that, and then looking at our example, what do you think? Do you think, and let me switch back so you can see it again. Do you think that the composer wanted you to start on low do or on high do, and why? And so a kid, kids have great answers for this. Some kids are like, well, low do, because we usually start on low do. Okay, fair. Great. Love it. Okay, why? Someone else who thinks something else. What do you think? And sometimes kids will say, well, I think it's high do because... if you look at it, it goes do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, basically, if you simplify. And that's like walking down the ladder. Perfect, yes. Or do, ti, la, so. That, even just that, do, ti, probably it doesn't want you to go do, ti, la, so. Like maybe, but probably not. It's more likely. And then we can get into like, why do you think that? That's a critical thinking skill. That's like using your knowledge and using what you know about the solfege and using what you know about what would be like a common predictable melody to make that assumption before we ever sing it about what it might be. And yes, it could be do, ti, la, so, but it's more likely to be do, ti, la, la, so. And then this example is also fun too, because then they're singing down the scale. They're starting high and singing down the scale. And so this is a great example for them. Do, ti, la, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. If I wanted to give them a change to, test their ears again, I could do something like do, ti, la, la, so, fa, mi, do. That is a tricky thing to do, but they should be able to hear the difference between mi, do, and mi, re, do. When I give them those examples, those like, I'm changing something, I go about this speed. Bum, 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 bum. Or I can make it really obvious. Bum, 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 bum. Very, very obvious. So that they can hear that difference absolutely clearly and know this is not the same, right? Okay, let's look at one more example. If there's another example, let's see. My PowerPoint. Oops, lost it. Okay, let's try. Okay, yeah, so here's one from today. Do, re, mi, so, fa, mi, re, do. Now, and again, I could be like, is it high do? Is it low do? Why? And this is a great example for them because then, again, they're like, well, this one's probably low do. And they could go through that process again of, well, it's, keeping similar or whatever. So that's another way for them to sort of walk through that. This one, what I did was, this was a very simple thing. Do, re, mi, so, fa, mi, re, do. And then I pulled out a 5-line staff. I put in some real big notes, and I put the solfege on those notes. And so then students, what we did was we sang the same thing, but now we're just looking at it with standard notation on a 5-line staff. Am I singing in C and it is written on E? Absolutely, but that doesn't really matter for them. They're just worrying about how does a staff work. They're trying to understand that process, so I don't worry too much about it. I don't worry about key signatures, none of that, because they don't really know. I just want them to see the treble clef because they're going to see that a lot. I want them to see the do, the solfege in context, and they're 5th graders, so I'm not worrying about any of that, but I'm explaining to you in case you're like, oh, David, that's weird. Anyway, so basically, I do the example with just the rhythms and just the solfege written underneath, and then I move to a staff, and they do the same exact thing. Just now they're seeing it on a staff. And then as a challenge for them, I might do something like, oh, rats. Okay, I did not pull over. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull over that other image that I did. Because that's a great challenge. Let me see if I can find that. Of course, the one that I was like, and this is what I'm going to end on, I left out. Sorry. Let's see if I can pull it up. Okay, here's today, and that's recorder. Okay, so here's an example of what I might do with them next. So then this example, it shows it on a 5-line staff, but it's so, a blank note, so, a blank note. So the blank note is right above so. So hopefully they can extrapolate and figure out that that is la, because it is just one placeholder above, and then at the end of the line, so, blank. And so hopefully they can either, by listening to me sing it, the interval, they can figure out that it's me at the end, or they can work out that, okay, line, space, line, must be me. And again, the pitch ladder is on the board for them to sort of see and check and go with. I am not trying to trick them. I am trying to get them to understand this process and how the staff works. So the first time I would leave those notes blank without labels, and then I would label them with the correct solfege. Okay, I will just end by saying this is something I am trying. This is something I am working on, and I am working to see how well it works, if it works, what works well. The transition from reading rhythms into solfege has been really great for my students. The transition from reading rhythms into recorder has been really great for students. And so we're having a lot of fun with it. I'm finding the more I do this, the more applications I can come up with, and that's really, really helpful. If you do something similar, please leave a comment and tell me, like, what do you do different? How do you do it different? How do you challenge them? If you don't do this at all, but you're intrigued and you try it out, please come back and leave a comment to say, like, hey, I tried it and here's what worked and here's what didn't work and here's what I think. Because I find that the more I play around with this, the more I can get out of it, and the more I ask people about like, hey, what do you do? The more I can get out of it. Then too, so if you try something like this, please leave your comments and your thoughts in there too. Okay, well that is all for tonight. One more reminder in case you missed the beginning of the video, there is a giveaway right now for a bulletin board set for the month of March. Well, any time of year really, but especially for the month of March because it's Women's History Month. It's about 50 different composers, performers, conductors, any type, musicians who are or great influence in the history of music, female music makers. That giveaway is on my blog. I'll put that on the links page. I put it on my Facebook page yesterday, a couple days ago. So check that out. If you're interested, you could win a free bulletin board set, and that ends tonight at midnight. And also, ORF Level 1 registration opened up for this summer in Orlando. So I hope you will come and join us. It's going to be so much fun. Sunny Orlando. Go to Disney on the weekend or nights when you're not doing homework. I mean, do your homework. But anyway, come and join us. It's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope that I'll see you not next week, but in 2 weeks, because next week is my spring break, and I will be not here. So I hope I'll see you all in 2 weeks for another Musical Monday. Have a really great couple weeks, and I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.